for the opportunity to address you today, and I'd like to share a story with you about World War I, the Battle of Broodseinde, and my connection to it. As a much younger man, I was fortunate enough to live in Belgium for a couple of years, and I took the time to visit the war grave of my great uncle, Ernest Alfred, who lays at rest in the Belgian Battery Corner Cemetery, 3 kilometres southwest of the Menin Gate in Ypres. Fast forward to 2013 when my mother passed away, and in the process of cleaning out her house, I located a file with Ernest's name on it. In the file were 95-year-old original letters he had written to his family from about the time of his enlistment to a week before his death. The file also included original photographs and documents. Before I donated the file to the Australian War Memorial, I transcribed all the letters for my own records and took high-resolution scans of every document, including the fronts and backs of the envelopes. The story that jumped off those pages was fascinating, and it changed my life for the next 5 years. I became obsessed, fanatical in research and study, and the desire to walk in Ernest's shoes. I visited the far corners of our country and made 3 trips to Europe, fueling my obsession in the process. On one trip to Europe, armed to the teeth with British trench maps, overlaid onto Google Maps, and guided by the 100-year-old daily battalion intelligence reports, I drove down a country road, separated by farmers' fields, 9 kilometres to the east of Menin Gate. The date was the 4th of October, 2017. I walked up to a farmhouse on the east side of the road, but there was no one home. That house wasn't my primary objective that day, but it was significant in that 100 years earlier, the German front line had run underneath where this farmhouse now stood. I walked across the road to another farmhouse, and an elderly Flemish farmer greeted me with open arms. Obviously, I wasn't the first person to ever walk upon his land and ask if I could walk in his fields. We chatted for a while and went through the maps and documents I carried on me. He walked me down through the gentle sloping paddocks. About 150 metres from the house, we stopped alongside a very old timber post with a single red poppy wired to it. He put his hand on my shoulder. With a crackle in his voice and in his best broken English, he said to me, "Son, look in the distance to the west. See that tree line on the ridge? That's Polygon Wood, where your great uncle fought a week before he stood on my land. Up there, a kilometre or so on the road you drove in on, that's Passchendaele. In front of you is Broodseinde Ridge. Below your feet is the trench line, Hell's Track, the last recorded coordinates of the company your great uncle was with. On the 4th of October 1917, you are standing in the middle of a raging battlefield, the Battle of Broodseinde. The Battle of Broodseinde isn't all that well known, but it is quite significant in that it formed part of the Allied push towards Passchendaele and played a major role in the Third Battle of Ypres. The casualties for the Battle of Broodseinde, one single day in history, are unimaginable. Over 20,000 Allies, of which 6,423 were Australians, and 1,853 New Zealanders. Allow me to repeat that. 6,423 were Australians and 1,853 New Zealanders. Our Anzac spirit lives on, hanging over that farmland like a halo. The majority of those killed that day are interned at Tyne-Cot Cemetery, 5 kilometres away. For the record, the Germans took 35,000 casualties that day and lost another 5,000 men who were taken prisoner. At 1500 hours on the 4th of October 1917, somewhere in that field, metres from where I stood, Ernest was working with his platoon, laying duckboards across a mud-soaked, tortured land when a German shell landed amongst them. 22-year-old Private Ernest Alfred Hall, 42088, 1st Australian Pioneers, died where he fell, alongside his mate, Private Walter Longstaff. 5 others were injured in that blast. The farmer walked away, allowing me to grieve and reflect privately. I bent down and ran my fingers through the soil at my feet, and 4 12mm lead shrapnel balls rolled into my palm. Today those lead balls sit on my desk with full knowledge and a constant reminder of where they come from and the sacrifice made. 4 words run through my mind each day when I look at them. We will remember them.